So, Coach, just evaluate defensive performance on Saturday, especially your front line.
Uh, I thought we I thought we played hard. We played harder. I thought that the one thing that was lacking more than anything was execution in key situations, which is ultimately on me. So, we had a couple of shots, but what they were doing, tourist protection wise, and most everything was like a chip 7-man protection release. So it was they were doing what they had to do to protect their freshmen, which we kind of expected that. And so we had some shots to fight through that, and guys did in some scenarios and didn't in others. I thought our tackling was much better, exception of maybe one or two plays. Effort in tackling from week one was better. Execution was not.
Next question from John Antonic. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Coach, it's hard to watch on TV. You're kind of following the ball. How much did you guys do games-wise up front, twisting, angling, things like that you've done in the past? And then the second question is with the guys that didn't fill the gaps or on those assignments where they were blown assignments, how do you fix that? Do you coach them harder? Do you replace them? What do you do when you got guys that miss assignments like that?
You just have to coach them better. You got to find a way to get what you're trying to do across to them. If you believe what you're trying to do works, which I firmly believe that it does. We didn't do as much as we normally did, and that was by design, based on who was standing out there at receiver, and then based on how we had to fit what we were trying to do against the run with those certain fronts. So, it all had to tie together, and we really, knew once we got a beat on how they were going to protect us, we could have twisted all day, and I don't know that it would have mattered.
Next question from Ryan Pritt. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Coach, in the post game on Saturday, Neil mentioned communication on defense kind of being an issue on those gap miss assignments that was just talked about. Is that an assessment you agree with? And when he's saying communication, is that from coaches to player, from player to player? Where was that breakdown happening for you guys Saturday?
It's ultimately on it's on myself and the coaches. Communication has to happen, sideline to the field, and then the field from the guys that communicate the signal and formations to the players that aren't necessarily responsible for seeing that formation, whatever, if it's an adjustment or whatever it is. So it just all works together, and it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that is communicated. And it just goes back to the execution of things, and it's really just in those key situations that we didn't execute. And it's really, to be honest with you, it's 4 to 5 plays.
Next will be Cody Nesper. Go ahead, Cody.
Hi, Jordan. Neil briefly talked about Baylor's linebacker, Bernard. And it seems like every team in the league kind of has at least one really, really elite linebacker. And I just wanted to get your thoughts. What does having, an elite linebacker do for a defense?
I've always that's your quarterback. That's the easiest way to put it. He's the communicator. He's the adjuster. He's the gets things lined up, and he's the one that makes a wrong fit right. And that's probably the best way to put it. He's a quarterback.
We'll go back to John. Go ahead, John.
Curious, Baylor, kind of a different deal. Last week, you were dealing with an inexperienced offensive line. These guys have the bulk of their experience on offensive line. I think they're two tackles that have like 39 or 40 combined career starts between them. Their center is very experienced, and of course their quarterback. And they ran the ball, I think, for 200 yards. What are some of the concerns and issues that these guys present this week trying to stop them?
It's really the same. You put the experience with probably a faster tempo offense that we saw last week, which Oklahoma State honestly kind of slowed it down for the quarterback. So the tempo is going to be probably the biggest issue with what they're trying to do. They try to get you in some scenarios formation-wise off of that tempo, and they're not very complicated up front. So they play fast, they play hard, they're physical, and they're experienced. So it creates about every issue you can come up with.
Having a running quarterback, is there another dynamic there because Brewer can tuck it and run at times?
Yeah, absolutely, always is.
We'll go to Greg Hunter. Greg?
Coach, your assessment of Dante and Darius so far, how have they played?
They actually played. Darius had a good game Saturday. Dante had some flash plays. Darius is, probably playing better right now, but they obviously they gather the attention of everybody, and they should. I mean, they're really good players. The guys around them have to take that pressure off of them, and everybody, every time we come to the line, they're going to know where 55 and 56 are, and that's part of being a good player. They have to learn how to deal with it, and the guys around them have to take that pressure off of them, which is what's not happening right now. But alignment assignment wise, Darius, has been really good. Was better than Dante on Saturday, but he's at the end of the day he's the older brother. So, he has, he shows up. We had a certain call on the coming out play on a second down. We were really playing for the pass, and we were outnumbered gap wise, and Darius, makes a heck of a play. They single him up on the center, and they do that. He's going to win most of the time, and he did, and he should. And so, I mean, that's they're playing good, not great, good. And Darius is probably playing better.
Go ahead, Mike Kazaza.
Hey, Jordan, how's it going?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Similar to Greg, those are guys we know, but we've seen some new people just early this season. I'm curious what you think so far of Jalen, Akeem, even Quay, and then Neil said that Sean Martin is back in practice. I don't know what his timetable is, but that's another new person in there that we don't yet know about. You know more than we know about.
Yeah, I mean, Sean is due to contact tracing is, he's a ways away. He had a pretty decent camp for a freshman, and what would have been a normal summer would even be further ahead, but that's just the nature of the time we're in. And it's really the same with all of those freshmen. Akeem Messador is one that is, down the road has got a chance to be a really good player. Quay Mays is starting to come around. Once again, he would have had the spring and the summer and did not. So that's every guy outside of the guys that played for here last year is literally in catch-up mode, trying to use, I guess the best way to put it is fall camp as their spring, and then now they're in season. So, it takes some time to where they would have normally gotten, take a guy like Quay. You would have normally gotten those 15 practices at the game speed that's different from junior college. He would have gotten all of those with a spring game, in a game situation where he played at a game tempo instead of a practice tempo. He would be further ahead, but he's coming along, and so is Jalen Thornton. And Jalen did some decent things the other day in the game, and those are got to be guys we depend on. We can't go through the season saying that Darius and Dante are going to do everything, because they're not. And so we got to have guys that continue to develop, continue to improve, and continue to step up.
Next question from Kevin Kinder.
Coach, in the first game, it looked like your defense was fairly base in that, your bandit was on the line of scrimmage a lot. It was kind of that standard configuration. Against Oklahoma State, the bandit was off the line a lot. Coach Brown mentioned you played a lighter box more. I guess my question is, how difficult is it with the limited practice time you had this spring and summer to make those kind of adjustments? I know they're all, parts of what you want to do on the defense, but is it a little tougher to make those kind of changes week to week?
No, not really, because it's a part of the core of our defense is moving some guys around and creating some different things. And I think probably Saturday we hadn't done it as much leading in, and so it kind of looks like that guys are not having a knack for it, but we practice it just as much in fall camp as we always do, and so we just goes back to the execution side of things. What we were trying to do, we didn't do a great job of it.
And back to you, Mike.
Yep, I just wanted to kind of finish up with my line question there, and it kind of follows off of Mays. He's playing well. I don't know if that gobbles up Jordan Jefferson's time, but I think about a year ago he started a game for you, and I don't think he played. I'm not sure if it's health or whatever, but he's kind of a missing piece for you that might help you, as we talked about in the earlier part of the season, kind of evolve some different ideas.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have to. And if you go back, I think it was the middle of the second quarter on Saturday, I think we had played 15 plays. And so defensively. And it's just sometimes that's the nature of a game when you get into and you go into it thinking it's high tempo and you're going to play a lot of plays. Well, their quarterback doesn't play, they slow it down, and our offense, is doing a pretty decent job of running the ball and controlling the clock. And you look up and you have, I can't remember what the number was, but it was, I think, around 20, 21, 22 plays at halftime. Played more in the second half, but then you get into the second half and you have some stops and the game is on the line. Well, then that scenario, the players you trust, your best players, have got to be the ones you rely on and that you lean on. So it's really not anything that Jordan is doing wrong. I think it was through how that game was playing out was more than anything. And then just like any other position, he's right now at that number 2 spot. Quay gives us the better chance. And let me say this, JJ's still a young player. All right, he wasn't ready to play last year. He played out of necessity. All right, I think he just turned 19 back in early September and would be in a normal year a redshirt freshman. He's still a young player and is going to be a really good player, and it's just where he is at in his development.